Welcome, everyone. I'm Sam Robinson, and I'm the CRO here at bookkeepers.com, home of the Bookkeeper Launch course. And today I'm joined by 5 BL All-Stars, alum that go way back. I'm joined by current CEO and owner of Bookkeeper Launch and bookkeepers.com, Jaime Rodriguez, Keepful owner, Heidi Ryder. I'm joined by Tyler Otto and Katie Rhodes as well. All 5 of these lovely folks have taken BL in years past and now have started their own successful bookkeeping business and other ventures, I should say, and have all met up in these in-person work conferences that we'll be talking about today, despite being from different parts of the country. So we're here to talk about, reminisce on some of the work conferences we've all been a part of since becoming bookkeepers and why they mean so much. But just first, guys, just go around the room and give a brief introduction for yourselves.
Ladies first.
Go for it, Katie.
All right. Well, I'm Katie Rhodes, and I live in Western Colorado, and I opened my bookkeeping business shortly after taking Bookkeeper Launch a few years ago. And yeah, it's been a wild ride ever since. Bookkeeper Launch totally gave me my start. And then, of course, accounting conferences played a big part in making these relationships happen. But I'm sure Sam will get into that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Heidi. I am owner of Keepful as well as my bookkeeping business, Healthy Books. I found Bookkeeper Launch in, 2017, when I found out I was pregnant with my first, and I was like, I got to do something from home. So found the course, took it, fell in love. My business took off. Within 6 months, I had basically replaced my teacher salary. I was, making as much as I was bringing home as a teacher. So it really took off. And then my first in-person group meeting, whatever you want to call it, that I went to was in Ben's living room, where I actually met Jaime. and from there, just developed a relationship with Ben Robinson and the family there. And then actually came to work for bookkeepers.com for a while. And that's how I started Keepful with Ben. And now it's mine. It's my little baby.
All right. Well, I guess I'll jump in. Tyler Otto with Specialized Accounting. We started our firm. My wife started taking Bookkeeper Launch back in 17. And then I usurped her company, or she found a goon to come run it in 2021, and now she just collects a paycheck. But we built our firm. I showed up at the first BKX knowing nobody, and now we have the Unaccountable podcast. We have the Firm Foundation course. We have white-labeled version of our accounting firm that we own with one of the big softwares in our space. So yeah, my tax returns are getting a little bit crazy now, but it's fun. Too many businesses, most of them lose money. So love this group.
But hey, some of them are fun, right? That's
Yeah.
all right if you're having fun. I'm Jaime Rodriguez, and I started BL 2017 as well, where I met Heidi. I remember meeting at Ben's house. That was the first in-person meetup that we did, and I came in thinking, I'm the young kid here, and then I meet Heidi, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not the young kid. Here's the young kid, just kicking butt. And anyways, that was back in 2017, and yeah, I met a lot of people. I think I've met every one of you through conferences, including Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. And that leads me to my next point. So Bookkeeper Launch, bookkeepers.com used to have the BKX conference every year, typically would be in the summertime. I think COVID year may have been the only year that it wasn't in the summer. We've gone to places like Vegas and Dallas, Orlando, Florida was the last one. And we still do conferences with other groups. We no longer do the BKX ourselves. So what was the first BKX that each of you guys went to?
I guess I'll start again. BKX, the last one in Orlando, was the first conference I'd ever attended.
Wow.
I actually won a scholarship that was offered in tandem with Anchor and the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. I think that's the full name. And otherwise, I don't know how long it would have taken me to make that leap, but I've never looked back since. I mean, it was life-changing to be able to talk to all of the business owners and everything. But yeah, that the last BKX was my very first conference.
Yep. 2 years ago, back in 2024.
Right.
Yeah.
We used to have a conference called, I say we used to have a conference. I don't know if you call it, I don't know if you can say we had a conference if you only had one, but there was one called Bookkeeper Boost. That was the very first one, and that was in 2017. I went to that one that we put on, and then eventually I guess that turned into BKX 5-6 years later. And I got to meet a ton of people. It was cool. I mean, it was just amazing to be able to meet a ton of people there. Kind of like you, Katie, the very first one in 2017 at Bookkeeper Boost. I had just started the course. I felt like a newbie. So I was like, I don't really feel like I should be here, but I got a scholarship like you did. And all I had to do was pay for my travel. And I was like, well, now I don't have an excuse not to go. So I went and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like the fact that not only was it cool to meet a bunch of people, but everybody was so accessible, including the speakers and stuff. So it's nice to be able to pick people's brains that are 1-2 steps or 1,000 steps ahead of you in this journey.
My first one was, sorry, go ahead, Tyler. Mine was the BKX of 2022. It was the first time we were in Orlando. So I did the Orlando, Dallas, and Orlando again. And I think the thing that I took away from it was I was surprised I was able to give back so much. Because, we get that imposter syndrome, right? Where we feel like we don't have anything to offer. Everybody else is, like Jaime said, 1,000 steps ahead of us. But there were people that I was able to either encourage or to give back to because they were struggling with something that I had already taken care of, or it's just a different perspective. Like, right, if you tell somebody an issue you're having and they give you a different perspective, it can be helpful. So I was very happy when I walked away feeling like I wasn't just constantly taking from people. I felt like I could also contribute something to the community.
And as I said, I attended the first BKX back in Vegas. And I will say, like, I showed up thinking like, all right, see who all these competitors are in the room. I'm going to crush them. And within an hour, I realized like, no, these are all like my partners. Like, these are all people like I can work together with. And the best thing that ever happened was I decided to make the decision to go to Level Up, which was like the next level they were offering a couple months later. And that's where I met some people that were really serious about doing this. Alyssa Lang and Ben Day and Jeremy Van Grohl, Justin Boynton. And because of that, like, I hate to say it, but Bookkeeper launch, it was a good side thing for me, but it was the relationships with those friends that I built that, to this day, we're doing Marco Polos daily. That's the number one thing I got out of it was friends that are on this journey that we complain together through the lows and celebrate the highs together and share all our best practices. So yeah, I mean, that was the gateway drug to getting me in this community.
Absolutely. I think that's typically going to be the best part about going to work conferences. And it certainly is for anything that's in this field, in this realm of bookkeepers.com, is those relationships. Now, for all of you guys in here, is there one specific relationship that you started at one of these conferences that ended up helping your business and your life in general too? Maybe you met your best friend at one of these events.
Gosh,
I feel like you're teeing me up there.
Tyler, say as much as you want to. I will rename this the Tyler Auto Show because you are a star in everything.
No, I'm not. No, that is so far from true. But I will jump in and go first on this one because, I mean, as you said, like the Unaccountable podcast, I was sitting there thinking, hey, one day I want to be able to be in the room of key conversations of the softwares we use, right? Double and Relay and Gusto and QuickBooks. And how do I get myself in there? And one of the things is you got to have an audience. And so it's like, well, I could do a podcast, but everyone does a podcast where they just record and interview someone and that's it. And some of them are good, some of them are not. And I wanted to do something different. So I said, what would I be willing to listen to? And I was like, well, if it was a game show mixed with, fifth grade humor, I'd probably listen to that. And so I called up the only other person I know that just lives at that level of maturity. And it was Jeremy Van Grohl, who I met through these conferences. And we both agreed like, hey, let's do this. And since then it's led, like the reason we got on Gusto's Partner Advisory Council, Relay's Partner Advisory Council, we have consulting contracts with Ramp, is all because we can say we have an audience. Nobody knows, it's just both our moms, but we at least can say we have an audience and we've been doing this for 3 years, so we're consistent. So I mean, I was never going to find someone that was down there at my level had I not gone to these conferences.
Absolutely. And I will say that I can attest to the humor. Y'all have one of the funniest shirts of all time, and it says something to the effect of accounting's biggest assets, and it has the ETS at the end of that word crossed out. So I think
proofread and red ink scribbled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can go next. I think I don't have a podcast. So it's really hard to top Tyler here, meeting potentially the second coolest person in BL, right behind Tyler himself. But I've got to meet a lot of awesome people. I mean, and like just you guys included. So like I got to meet Heidi very early on, and it's been really cool seeing her growth and taking her bookkeeping business, and then now with Keepful, that's been really cool. And then like getting to spend some time with Katie, even last year at the last conference that we were at last year, you know, getting to sit down with Katie and just having a chat with her, and now she's hosting our coaching calls, like just things like that, where it's like, hey, you know, how just meeting people and meeting where they are and saying, hey, like this is what I do, this is where I see my business going, and hearing the same thing from them. And you never know, something could happen, like a podcast that is read at the 5th grade reading level.
Yep, 5th grade humor, not 5th grade reading level. That's a 6th grade.
Tomato.
Thank you, Sam.
I would say I can probably trace everything, like all the success and everything that's brought me to where I am right now, to things that have happened at in-person events. I mean, meeting Jaime and Ben and all of those, like the original people in that living room event that we got together in, that led to me working for bookkeepers.com, which then of course led to, you know, me being a part of Keepful. And then that BKX event I went to, I really got to know Kevin Sterling there, and he's been a very huge help to me as far as like understanding the software and really being able to take Keepful to the next level. And from that BKX, there was a mastermind session that Brandy Derrick talked about. And so we started a mastermind, and 5 of my absolute best friends are from that mastermind. So yeah, everything that I have seen in my life that's kind of led me to here can be tied back to an event where I met people, key people, great people, and just now, like, you have a family. Like, you're not doing it alone, which is kind of what you start to feel like when you're running a business sometimes. You're like, does anybody understand me?
Yeah, I can relate very much to that. That's really how, you know, I took Bookkeeper Launch, started my business, and you get in rooms with people like virtually and built some relationships that way, but you still feel very much alone. I mean, at least I did. And it wasn't until I went to that first BKX, my first BKX, and got to meet these people. And like you said, I met so many people who were 1,000 steps in front of me. Like, I would like to be there in 7 years or so, right? Or people who, like you said, I was actually a couple steps ahead, and it was nice to not be the one asking the questions and able to have more of that collaborative conversation. Yeah. I mean, the relationships, I did meet a business bestie at the first BKX, and now me and Melissa stay in touch all the time about our businesses. And yeah, the relationships, hands down, it just changes the whole way you go about building your business in general.
So, Sam, sorry if you don't mind me jumping in. I think one of the coolest things that, and I said it a second ago, but I don't know, I feel like it needs to be said again. Like, we all met some awesome people, just kind of rubbing shoulders with them, sitting at lunch with them, going out to dinner with them, and hanging out with them. But I think one of the really cool things is that a lot of the speakers are also very available. They weren't on stage and going to a green room and you're like, well, never saw him again or her again. No, like, they're sitting with you. They're sitting in lunch with you, and you can pick their brain. So I've always enjoyed not just our conferences, but like last year I went to GrowCon as well, and being able to actually I met Roger through Tyler. So speaking, you know, we were talking about some of these connections that we meet. I meet Tyler, and Tyler's like, hey, you got to meet Roger. I meet Roger Connect. And now last year I'm at his conference and I'm having lunch with him, and he was like very accessible. It was very cool to be able to talk to somebody and just pick their brain.
Absolutely. I would agree with that point that everyone there, the speakers, the big rock stars of the industry, they're all very approachable when you go to a work conference. They become one of the guys and gals, which I think is really awesome. Versus just seeing them online, you just think, oh, they have this huge YouTube presence or this big platform. No, they're people like all the rest of us. And this makes me think of another question. So, you know, a lot of the sessions that we have at work conferences are going to be keynote speakers, breakout sessions, but I feel like a lot of the real magic happens in the hallway between sessions or at the cafeteria or after hours. Is there one particular conversation, or multiple, you can throw multiple in there if you'd like, that you guys had with somebody that changed your business, or at the very least was maybe a funny or amusing conversation that you had? But what were those conversations like at these conferences?
I'll happily jump in on this one again, because I'm going to say it was Uncle Ben. You know, okay, so as I told you guys, my biggest goal, I don't want to be an influencer. I just want to have influence in the industry. That's always been my goal. I want to be in the room where decisions are made and have input on where the software is going. That's my ultimate goal. And part of that is you got to have a presence. You got, like, softwares want to know it's someone that has influence. Finding, like, I think you guys have all tried getting on stage stage at conferences. It's hard. It's hard to break through and get your application submitted. And I gotta tell you guys, going to BKX #1 and just showing up and being there and introducing myself to Uncle Ben, showing up at Level Up, now like he knows who I am. And then literally, guys, sometimes it's just being lucky. You have to show up and be there. My first time ever getting on stage was BKX #2, and it's because I went out when everyone else was having drinks the night before. I don't even think I was drinking at that time. I was trying to lose weight, but I still went out with everyone, and we're all sitting around at the bar, and Ben gets a text that one of our friends who's speaking in front of the room of, 400 or 500 people that year, had 2 deaths in the family that week and wasn't going to make it. I happened to be sitting there, and Ben looked over and said, "Tyler, could you do an hour in 2 days?" I was like, "Yeah, I can figure it out. How about this? He said, "Yes." I went on stage, crushed it. He invites me back the next year. And now I've got a resume. And then I get on at Accounting Today First Phone Growth Forum. I get on at a couple other conferences. Guys, I got main stage scaling new heights because I showed up at a bar and just was there when an opportunity presented itself. So, I mean, none of that would have happened if just not for showing up and just being there as an option. So that was like hands down one of the most pivotal moments.
So just to clip it for the YouTube short, you're saying that going to the bar is the right way of doing business.
I'm not saying you have to drink, but be where the candid conversations happen. Yes, all day, every day. More sales get closed for me at conferences where I'm selling at the bar than at the booth. And it's the same thing with growing relationships. Like, you don't have to be a partier, but spend candid time with people. Yes.
I think that's some really good advice, and I'll answer your question in a minute, Sam. But like, I think what Tyler just said is amazing, because I think like my very first conference that I went to, that Bookkeeper Boost, I was there and I showed up to all of the main stage, all the keynote speakers that were there. I was there listening, taking notes, and then it was over, and then I would run to my room, and then I would be like, "Well, I got nothing to do tonight, and I guess I'm watching TV here at the hotel." And a lot of the magic happens right outside of that. So if you're going to GrowCon with us, or if you're going to any other conference, I think that's just really good advice, because I think you're 100% right, Tyler. A lot of those big decisions happen because you're just sitting at the right table at dinner. I think the most recent one, and this is, I'm sure I've had some more influential conversations at conferences, but the one that I can think of now, because it's just, it's the most recent, was last year getting to meet the guys at Ramp. We actually had a booth at GrowCon, and we were just right next to Ramp. And I was like, "Hey, I've seen these guys before. I don't know what they do." And so I got to meet some of the guys there and just hanging out with them and hearing what they did. And I was like, "Hey, this is pretty sweet. Not only can I see this being useful for bookkeepers, but I'm a customer now." And they sold me immediately. And so like, I just think of like, when we talk about having conversations, it's not just peer to peer. Sometimes like a lot of these vendors, if you stop seeing them as a salesperson, that like these guys are just trying to sell me something, just see them as meet them where they are. They're just a person, right? And they're just there to hang out. And if you like their product, then cool. If not, then whatever. They're still there to hang out. Go to the bar with Tyler at night. So that's how I got to meet the guys at Ramp and became a customer. And they're a software now that I highly, highly recommend as well.
Yeah. Kind of tagging on to that and what you said earlier about meeting people, conversations. My first BKX, I was on a mission not to waste the experience. And even though it was very uncomfortable, I don't know if I sat with the same table at every meal. I just kept bouncing around and sitting down randomly between people I didn't know. And at one point, I remember I sat a lot with the Anchor guys. They're a fantastic crew of guys, by the way. They're amazing. And so they were, trying to help make me feel welcome and everything. And at one point, I was sitting next to Roger with Universal Accounting and Vanessa Vasquez, and I didn't know either of them. She's a big mover shaker in accounting world. I had no idea who she was, and just had a regular conversation. Like, everybody is just real people. At another point, I sat between, not knowing, of course, that these two business owners, Randy Derrick and someone else, they're both like up here, right? This was my first year and I'm like starting, and they're talking about such high level stuff. And I'm just like, wow, this is where it could go. Like, this is what your business could look like and what you could do with it. If I hadn't been there at that table in that room, it's hard to resonate with people you see in a Zoom room, hosting a webinar, that sort of thing. But this person sitting right next to me, like, these are real life people that are doing this. And having those kind of conversations, it was beyond inspiring to being able to push forward and realizing what you can do with your business.
Yeah. And I would say with that, very similar for me too. And part of it is the time that I get to focus, because being a mom of four, like planning and vision and mapping and like more of the business admin stuff gets put on the back burner in the day to day, just got to get stuff done, right? And so conferences for me is a chance to connect and to grow my network and to meet people. But it's also a time for me to really focus on, like, where am I going this next year? What am I doing? What are my goals? Where do I want to be? What are my challenges and how do I overcome them? And so being in that mindset, like as I'm sitting with people and talking with people, they'll say things and I'll be able to draw the connection. Like, it's just offhand comments they make, or they're talking about their business, just like she was saying with Brandy Derrick. Like, she was talking one time about staff stuff, and I was like, oh, that fixes that problem I had. Like, not even intentional, like asking people, hey, I have this problem, can you help me fix it? It's more of just like, this is a focused time where this is all I'm thinking about. I am focused on my business. I am ready to hit the next level. Like, I'm here with intention. And if people's conversations just kind of come into that, it just works. It's something that I don't get being here at home. Like, I've attended even virtual events, and it's not the same, and it might just be different for me because it's a mom, but like, it's not the same where I'm here in my house with all my little people running around me versus when I'm there and it's just other business owners that are focused on their business, and we're all, we're walking a different path but very similar, and coming alongside each other really encourages and helps me regroup and refocus, and I usually come away with a whole lot of goals set.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another question that I wanted to ask, what is something that you learned at a conference, something specific that immediately changed how you run your business?
So I can start here. I don't think something that changed my business or how I run it, but there was one specific keynote speaker that we had at BKX, and I really wish I remember her name to give her credit for it. But it was in Dallas, and she spoke about, she was an author, and she had, I don't know how many books, and she spoke about how if you are already preparing an entire 45-minute speech at a conference, you've already done a lot of the legwork to write a book. And she really simplified it, and it was one of those things that I was like, hey, I can totally do this. And then I started, and it was a lot harder than she made it seem. She's actually very, very talented to make it look that easy, but I stuck with it. And I think that's one of those things that it was cool to be able to do that, and it was because somebody got on stage and made it look easier than it is.
I think I remember who you're talking about. Was that in Dallas in 2023?
Yeah. It was incredible. It was, and like I said, it was one of the, interestingly enough, it was one of those topics that wasn't necessarily bookkeeping or accounting or processes related. I think a lot of the books that she has written are actually fiction books. Yeah. And so it just kind of goes to show, it doesn't have to be debits and credits. It doesn't have to be processes. Sometimes somebody has something and you're like, oh shoot, I've never thought about it that way. Like I can totally do this too, right? And just motivates you into writing a book.
As far as like how it changed how I run my business now, or what I got from it, like I said already, it was very inspiring to see the different, not just where it could go, like if we're thinking leveling up, but the different directions it could take. Everybody is doing different things. Like, to the outside world, they're thinking bookkeeping and tax. That's pretty straightforward, right? But everybody has a different way, and a different way they're doing this service, offering it, and getting some of those ideas. And it helped me. I think it really helped me nail down the vision of what I wanted to do with it, and also more of the nuts and bolts side of it, processes, seeing where some of these people are leveled up, how I needed to get more specifics in processes that I had just started documenting and getting going. So, yeah.
For me, it was a conversation I had with Ben Stein at BKX of 2022. I had some really bad bottlenecks in my business, and it came down to me. I was the bottleneck. There were a couple different issues, and I knew of, well, it was Keeper at the time, but Double. I knew of Double, and I knew a lot of people were using it. A lot of my friends were using it, but I wasn't aware that it fixed literally all of my bottleneck. And so when I had that conversation with Ben, and we were just kind of talking, and it started out as just catching up because we had met each other already, and so we were kind of just catching up. And then I started realizing, like, oh, you fixed that problem. Oh, you fixed that. Oh. And so finally, after that, I joined, and it did. It really, like, I was able to hand off a lot of stuff to my team that they were waiting on me for. And it really helped me take my business to where now I can own 2 businesses and my team doesn't hate me for it.
I'll say the thing I learned is just, you show up to these conferences and a lot of us got imposter syndrome. And even after you get more and more successful, you still have imposter syndrome. And you think to yourself, wow, I wish I could one day, just make top line revenue what they do in profit. Like, just if I can. And you start to learn hearing more and more of these stories that they didn't do anything exceptional. They just kept doing it. They didn't give up. They were willing to put themselves out there, learn the hard things, take the hits, learn from them, experience failure, and keep going. And really, that's the secret to all of us, is we've just been doing this long enough and have made enough mistakes and had to eat humble pie plenty enough times that now we grow. And so, that's the biggest thing I've got from it, is realizing that, everyone, I mean, heck, even, the grand poobah of our space, Jason Stats, he'll show his early videos, and those things are awful. And it's just, he kept doing it long enough to now he's pretty darn good at it. That's the biggest thing I've learned just from, people that were ahead of me in the journey.
It's funny you said that about Jason Stats. I was listening to, it was actually a podcast he did last year, literally about March of 2025. And he said the same thing. He said, I started doing, he was talking about his business experience. And he said something to the effect of, I started going off on my own a couple of years ago and did the YouTube thing. And I look back on those videos and they're terrible. They're awful, but I stuck with it. And now I'm good at it. People say that I'm talented. And he said, no, I've just been making videos every day for the last 5 to 6 years.
He has a lot of mistakes and
exactly. Yeah. Which makes me want to ask this question. Who has been the best speaker that you've heard? Someone that we've brought in, or, maybe it's yourself. Who's the best speaker that you've heard at a BKX or similar conference?
I have one. If nobody wants to go, if you guys don't want to call somebody out. So I really, it really stings that I didn't get to see him live. I had to watch the recording because it was at BKX. And it was one of those situations where there was a workshop and there was a main stage, and he had a workshop, and I stayed for the main stage. So I didn't get to see it live, but I went and saw the recording. But I really liked Chris Koshina's. It was just butt kicking I needed, that seeing how structured his life was, not just business, but life. I was like, holy crap. I need that. I really need that. Now, I'm not crazy like him in terms of how structured his life is, but I was like, if I can take 1% of what he has and implement it, I'm going to be 20 times better than I am. And I've done so on the personal side. And I think that's where I really lacked, was I can be very structured with work, with business. But then once I virtually clock out, it's like, oh shoot, I was supposed to be somewhere at this time, and I told my wife I was going to do this and that, and nothing gets done. And so just kind of having a little structure. So yeah, Chris, you've been my favorite.
I think I'm going to follow up with that, because I don't know if I can sufficiently answer this question, because I can't remember everyone's names. And I know I've heard some really, really good ones. Some of the ones I remember were more inspiring. That's what I needed to keep going, depending on the year or the point in my day and where I was at in building my business. I needed to hear someone that went through the hard thing. And like Tyler just said, you just kept doing it. You just picked yourself back up and kept going. I was in the room for that one where Chris talked about his schedule and what he used to make everything regimented. And as a mom, 2 tiny kids, it was easy to say, well, this is just my life right now, and this is how I'm working. Yes, I do get interrupted all the time, and that's how life is at this stage. But also, that was very useful for me to see I could build some structure into this, and I'm going to need to get some focus time and to move the needle on things. So that's me.
Speaking of motivational ones, I don't know if you guys were in the room before Heidi and Tyler go. I'm going to cut them off. I think a good runner-up that Katie, you made me think of was freaking Justin Boyden. My gosh, he had people in tears. Yeah. It was, holy crap, that was a good, it was, and both of the ones that I've mentioned have not been very bookkeeping or accounting oriented. They're just very personal. But gosh, when I think about somebody that really tugged on my heartstrings, I was like, don't cry. It was just amazing. And like you said, Katie, it's cool to see somebody that has gone through something or is going through something, and they're like, hey man, I'm still running a business. At the end of the day, we got to push forward.
Yeah, I think I know that Justin Boyden one you're talking about. Is that the one where he said he was able to finally get to walk his kid to the bus, going to kindergarten.
He did talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. The group that I interviewed yesterday said the same thing, that was like one of their favorite speakers was Justin. I don't know if that makes y'all feel bad, the ones of you that have spoken at BKX in the past. He was their favorite and not you guys, but
I will say my favorite that I've ever seen, and I hope you don't mind, I'm not even going to say BKX, but I'm going to say it was Dawn Brolin. Because the first time I heard her talk, she kind of both painted this blueprint of how to like get partnerships and build partnerships with your key software providers, while also talking about how she structured her firm to like, she's the first person that really drove home the point to me of firing bad clients. Of like, you don't have to put up with bad business owners that just make you feel awful and you dread. And I would say that's our superpower now, is like, we fired 4 massive clients this year. I think we fired like 30 grand in monthly recurring revenue across last year combined. And it's one of the best decisions because I've kept some amazing team members that used to dread logging in and seeing if that person responded. So Don Brolin gave me like a blueprint for the path I'm on, while also like freeing up a lot of my mental anxiety. Love her for that.
So it's not really fair to go last because Jaime stole Justin, which is going to be my...
Hold on, Heidi, before you go, I have a third one. Just kidding.
And then Tyler stole Dawn. So
Sorry.
The other ones I would say are Vanessa Vespas. She's like, whenever I see her on the lineup, I always make it a priority to go to hers. She's a huge inspiration to me as a mother and a business owner too. Like she's just a massive inspiration. One that I found really enjoyable and like encouraging, I would say, was Jaime's about the customer service. It was, I was in the room for something, like I wasn't planning on staying the whole time. I was also, I don't remember what I was doing, something admin related. And so I wasn't planning on staying the whole time. And he got started and I was like, okay, never mind, I'm staying the whole time. So those, I would say, like, of accounting conferences, those were my favorite. But I was at a software conference in October, and there was an motivational speaker that was there. Nick, I think his last name was Santisono. I don't remember. It was a long last name. He has missing limbs, and so his story was, he was talking about, like, what he's overcome. But it wasn't from this, like, a lot of times people have overcome, they talk about, like, see all the things that I've overcome. His was more like, let me tell you my story because God's going to use it as a blessing. So I'm here to bless you. And it was just the way, like, it was life altering for me. I could not keep up with my notes fast enough. And I walked away with things that, like, actions that I took that have changed my life. And yeah, it was, I know it's not a accounting conference specifically, but it's still conference related, where some of these speakers can meet you right where you are and you don't even know that that's a message you need. And then you walk out and you're like, wow, I needed that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get a lot of powerful stuff from the speakers and from the people that you meet there that really change outlook in life, not just your business. So obviously all you guys, myself included, have gotten a lot from going to live conferences. You know, there's probably a lot of new people out there just starting their bookkeeping business that may not feel like they're ready to go to a conference. And, you know, that could be the case for some people. Maybe it's just logistically, fiscally not something feasible at the time that they start their business. But for those that have that opportunity, you know, what's something about conferences that people who've never attended one might underestimate?
I think sometimes when you're new, at least this was for me when I went to that first living room intensive that we had, I didn't know what questions to ask. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was brand new. I was new to business and I was new to bookkeeping, and I didn't even know what I didn't know. And so it helped, like, to hear other people ask the questions. Like, Jaime was in the room, Justin was in the room, Amy was in the room. Like, they were steps ahead of me, and they were asking questions that I hadn't even thought of, much less knew the answer. And it helped so much to be like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so for me, starting out, like, being in the room with people and hearing their questions and then hearing the answers and hearing them talk amongst each other about their businesses really helped me see, one, where I could go, but also helped me learn things that would have taken me who knows how long to know I find out I was doing it wrong, first of all, but then also to find out how to do it right. And it helped me go further with making fewer mistakes.
Yeah. Kind of tagging on to that, I feel that you said just hearing conversations and knowing what to even ask. That was a lot of my first conference, it was just like fire hose coming at me. And even though it was so much information, I feel like it really helped to figure out where I needed to grow. Not just me in this silo at my home, at my desk, thinking this is what I think I need right now, so that's what I'm going to pursue, but really realizing, okay, there's a gap in my knowledge here after hearing everybody talk, and that's what I need to focus on. And that's not something that I could have sought out here alone at my desk, because like you said, you don't know the questions to ask. I've also heard people say that they think it's a big focus on the software and the vendors by going to a conference. People that are in other industries too, that's probably been their experience. They think this industry conference is the same as that industry conference and so on. But I've been to conferences before, and where people didn't want to talk to each other. I have never met a more collaborative, hand up group of people than the people in the rooms at these accounting conferences. I mean, it is unreal how friendly people are. I mean, stereotype, we're all shy and introverts except for Tyler and whatever, but people are willing to have conversations with you, and you get to meet the vendors as people, like we've already said, and it's not a big selling thing. We'd be here forever if we said everything we learned by going to these conferences. So.
Mm-hmm. I would say my biggest learning or whatnot is, Katie, you make the point that, I might be the weird non-introverted accountant, but even for those that are extroverts, it's nerve-wracking to show up where you don't know people and put yourself out there. And so, getting the reps, getting the experience of just trying to meet people and doing the uncomfortable things like that, I would say that's the biggest learning, or just, getting those reps under your belt of learning to meet new people and connect. And you're right, accountants are more friendly than anyone. I literally just got back from a hotel conference. I've been at other ones. I once met another accountant at a hotel conference. He'd never been to an accounting conference. And, it was very cutthroat. He was always just competitive. And then I see him at, I think it was Scaling New Heights. And then I saw him at Intuit Connect. And he's like, those people on stage are just sharing how they built their firm. They're just giving that out for free. I'm like, yeah, man, that's how we roll. And he goes, but aren't they afraid someone's going to steal? I'm like, no, man, this is the community. This is how we do. So yeah, I think getting those reps in and just going to the conferences, that's the biggest takeaway you can do, is just, worst case, you bomb it and people think you're weird and they won't ever see you again. But yeah, go give it a shot.
Yeah. I think of a second what Katie said for me. Don't remember. This is why I can't go last, Sam. I don't remember the exact question, but it was, you said something about unexpected, something unexpected.
Something about conferences that if you've never attended one, you might underestimate.
Underestimate. That's the word you used. Yeah. And so I think whenever I thought of going to a conference, and I've been to other conferences that are not accounting related, I've been to I think a fitness conference, and it was all just selling. Everything was just go visit the booths, and whoever's speaking doesn't really matter, because what they want is for you to visit the booths and make them some money, make the vendors money that paid for a sponsorship. And coming to any accounting conference that I've been to, not only do I get to meet these people, I use Scaling New Heights as an example. Last year, I was sitting out late at night, and I meet this guy that used to be a professional Rocket League player, and I'm like, hey, I play Rocket League religiously, and now we play pretty regularly. I'm like, that's been pretty cool. And it's just forget the fact that he worked for a vendor. It's and forget the fact that I'm technically could be your customer. No, we're just friends now. And so it's just cool to get to meet the vendors too, seeing what they do, and just being, definitely we'll link up. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me, that I thought it would be different when the going around the booths part of it would be different, where they're very much just people. I mean, I don't know what better way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, kind of pivoting a little bit as we have maybe a little less than 15 minutes left. I want to ask you guys, what's been the funniest memory that you've made or that you've witnessed from going to a work conference? I'll start this one because I have two from BKX Dallas. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring here. So first off, that year we had and I can edit this out later on, we had a speaker that was a celebrity and his wife, a reality TV show that was big in the 2010s. And they were obviously staying at our hotel. They were our speakers, so we hosted them. And that morning, when I'm going to everything at BKX, he's in the elevator. I open up the elevator, opens up. I didn't open it up. And he's there. And his hair is typically known as being long and in a bandana. That gives it away. But it wasn't. He was wearing a golf polo and shorts. And he just looked like a regular Southern dad. And he had this look on his face I know who I am. you know who I am. Don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me.
But we ended up meeting them afterwards, and they were very nice. He probably hadn't had his coffee yet. It was probably 7 a.m. when I went downstairs, and we just locked eyes on the elevator, and he just had this very intimidating look on his face. Very nice guy. The other funny memory is that we had a theme, same conference, Dallas. It being Texas, we had a theme of, I think it was cowboy themed. Heidi, Jaime, if y'all remember. And this is the first year that I'm married. My wife and I go and do the mechanical bull. And for those of you that don't know, I'm tall and kind of lanky, or was lanky, a little bit pudgier now. But I get on the mechanical bull and I'm wearing khakis, and I have never been on one before. I thought, you know what, I'm not maybe a world-class athlete, but I'm not terrible. So I get off that thing in like 2 seconds. It just throws me off. I slide off in those silky smooth khaki pants and look like a fool. My granddad was there as one of the guests for Ben. My dad started Bookkeeper Launch, and he just gave me grief still to this day about falling off that bull. Hopefully y'all don't have anything as embarrassing and personal as that.
I got one for you, because we talk again about building relationships, right? And, you know, there's something to be said where people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So we meet all these vendors all the time. And for those that don't know, Keeper Karaoke is where it was at. Now they've rebranded to Double, Double Duets. I don't know what they're going to do. But I will say there is a prominent software in our space that I'm sure a lot of us use called Write. And if you've ever met the head programmer behind it, Mark Coram, you'll think like, oh, he's kind of just a shy, nerdy, introverted dude that's pretty funny. And then you go to karaoke and you see him get up on stage belting out Waterloo by ABBA with no inhibition. And it was one of those moments where it's like, I love this man more than I thought. All his awkwardness and quirkiness. And to this day, it's just like, I'm a fan. I'm a friend. Because like it personalized and humanized him more than just a software developer. Him belting ABBA at the top of his lungs. So there you go. There's mine.
That is awesome.
I'm going to go here in the middle just because I don't have any one event or time that I can remember, but I just remember laughing a lot. I made enough friends where I just remember having good conversations and, you know, back to the point of putting yourself in those hallways, just be there. Like, go stand there and wait until you see somebody you can walk up and say hey to. And I didn't know anyone. And all I can remember is laughing a lot and smiling and having great conversations. So
the last BKX, the one in 2024, I was massively pregnant. I had my baby like the very next day after I got home. And so, of course, it's Orlando and I'm miserable because it's hot. And all I could think about was how miserable I was. Well, we had the evening party and out in the hallway, it was like I think a beach theme or something. And there were beach balls, and out in the hallway, people started doing like volleyball. Katie was there. Yeah. People started doing like volleyball with the beach ball. And again, like Katie said, it made like I wasn't able to join, obviously, but I was able to watch and have a great time, like just interacting and laughing and, you know, taking my mind off of being miserable and everything. But it's just like just the fun and friendliness that people have. It's like every time you have an interaction, it's restorative. It's fun. It's not like, oh, we're all stuck behind a desk and we're really, you know, overworked and burnt out. It's a time to like refresh, let out our playfulness, get to know each other. It's a great time. I love the whole, like all the days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I already spoke, but kind of tagging on to that, going to my first conference, I went there with the mindset to work. Like, I'm going to sit down in these sessions. I'm going to take great notes. I'm going to go back to my room and we are going to get this stuff done. Since I'm all alone, my kids are taken care of. I'm going to have time to really do this. Well, it didn't take long to feel the vibe was not that. I mean, there were people there to, you know, have a good time with. And so, yeah, don't forget about that aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. People will pull you out. They're like, if they see you working, they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Close that computer. We're hanging out by the pool today. Like, we're not working. But it's funny, Heidi, that story with you guys playing beach volleyball in the hallway. I remember Darlene, who works with us, was telling me about it the next day. And she was like, oh, that guy was playing with us. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's the CEO of Anchor. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's the CEO of Anchor. And she was like, that's great, right? And I guess that just kind of goes back to that point where you don't even know who these guys are, and they're hanging out with you. Like, I mean, they're not coming up to you and saying and selling you Anchor, right? They're just like, hey, we need a fifth person to play volleyball with. Why don't you jump on here in the hallway? I think this is funny to look back at now. It wasn't funny at the time. It was very embarrassing. I think it was the second time I had met Ben. He invited me over to his house, and I was staying at an Airbnb. So I take an Uber to his house, and when the Uber drops me off, I accidentally leave the keys to the Airbnb I was staying at in that Uber. Yeah, it was a little, I don't know if you remember, Sam, you were around for that. And so Ben's like, oh, no big deal. I didn't realize this until it was 10 p.m. And I was like, holy crap, I don't have the key to the Airbnb. So it wasn't until like 10 p.m. that I'm like messaging my Uber driver. And Ben's like, oh, no big deal. I'll hang out with you here. And then, it was midnight. It got to it being midnight. And at that point, Ben was like, hey, I'm going to go to bed. He's like, I have a full day tomorrow where I'm going to be speaking. So he very nicely said, I'm going to go to bed, but hey, like just lock the door, like showed me how to lock the door and all that good stuff. And thankfully the Uber driver finally came and I was able to get my keys. But I mean, it was so freaking late and it was so embarrassing. It's funny to look back at now, and it's something I'll never forget. It was me, Ben, and Sam was there, and we were just sitting there watching basketball. The game was over, everybody was tired, and I was like, I'm such an idiot. I cannot believe this is like the first, like this guy's gonna think I am absolutely stupid for this. But hey, here we are now.
Here we are now. Now you own the company.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question I just thought up. So, Tyler, I think you mentioned formerly known as Keeper, now Double Karaoke, Double Duet, I guess might be their new name. You should trademark that. What is going to be, if y'all have the opportunity to do it, what is going to be your karaoke song for, we won't say any future, but yeah, future work conferences? What is your go-to, or which one would you do if you would do it? Karaoke song.
I mean, my go-to is going to be the Hook by Blues Traveler. Because, I mean, that last minute, you just get to, like, rap as fast as you can and then belt it out, hear your voice crack like you're going through puberty. It's a good one.
The 90s were a good time for you. I see.
They were.
I'm not a karaoke person at all, so if I had to have a go-to, I'm going to put on a Spanish song so nobody understands what's going on but me and maybe a couple people in the room.
Perfect.
You had Bad Bunny as your intro song. Would you sing any of his songs out there?
Yeah.
Depending on the lyrics, yeah.
I'll just say yes, yeah.
Katie, what about you?
I don't know if I have one, but the songs I like are not very karaoke-ish, so
yeah,
I'm more of an easy listening type of gal.
I got you. Heidi, I would love to hear what your karaoke song would be.
So a little bit about me is I grew up very, very, very conservative Christian. And so I wanted to see what karaoke was like. And so one of the BKXs, the first Orlando one. Yeah, the first BKX I went to. I went to Keeper Karaoke. It was my first time in a bar ever. And it was... It was, of course, my first time in karaoke. We stayed for about 4 songs, and then I left. So, no, I am not a karaoke person. I will pop in and support people and laugh and clap and sing with them, but I am not going to get in the front. No, I sing in my own house, in my own kitchen. That's where I sing.
You ladies are fun. Come on now. But
Heidi walked in for her first karaoke and just heard Mark Coram with Right Tool just singing, and she was like, I'm done. This is it.
No, the one I did.
Go ahead.
The one I did enjoy was Jenna Gooley singing "Mama's Broken Heart." I think it's called, by Miranda Lambert.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is one I can sing too."
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be hard for me to do because I could do like 80s rock. Probably not rap, even though I know a lot of those songs. I'd probably do something like country. I'd sing like Neon Moon or something like that. Some Brooks and Dunn song, and do absolutely terrible with it. But, well, guys, we have 2 minutes left, so I just wanted to ask kind of a couple of lightning round questions. So let me just go to them really quick. Okay. And if y'all want to do this like in order with Katie, Heidi, Tyler, then Jaime going. First question is, we've already done that. The best city you've ever visited for a conference. Start with that.
Okay, so Orlando and Orlando. Those are the 2. So yeah. That's an easy answer for me. But I have to say I'm really looking forward to going to the one in Salt Lake. That's going to be my new favorite. I love going to SLC. And yeah, I'm more of a Western, less humidity type of person. So looking forward to Salt Lake at GrowCon.
Dallas, I think, was my favorite. I like just like when you have to go out on the town for like dinner or whatever, I enjoy Dallas a little bit more than Orlando.
Yeah.
Quick and simple, Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Utah. For me, it was Provo last year at GrowCon. I think Utah is absolutely beautiful.
Party at my house, guys. You all can come here. Let's go.
I'm looking forward to going there. Okay, next question. Okay, what would you say is better, going to breakout sessions or having coffee chats?
I mean, is one better than the other? If lightning rounds have to answer fast, coffee chats.
Yeah, I would say coffee chats too.
I'd say both. Like, no, there is no either or.
Ooh.
That's a very Tyler Otto answer.
I want it all.
We have you here for. And Jaime,
Coffee. No
morning
question.
sessions or late night networking?
Late night. Sorry, I cut.
Late night networking.
Late night.
Yep, late night networking for sure.
I guess I'm the grandpa. I'll go to bed early. All right, next question. Best swag you've ever received from a conference?
Okay, this is going to sound lame, but it was a grocery bag by Relay. In the last couple of years, Colorado does not give out grocery bags at the store. Super annoying. And it was right when all that happened. And it folds up to the smallest thing. And that's really lame. It was not just any bag. It was a good bag.
Mine was probably a backpack. It was one of those backpacks that you can use as like a check bag too. It's like straps and zippers, and it was like really fancy backpack. It was nice.
Intuit Connect last year gave out just gifts for your kids to bring home and be super dads. So there was an RC car. I actually brought home 2 RC cars that were like decent size. And then they had like givey stuff where you could just like Halloween toys, little plastic stuff you could fill up to take home and be superhero to the kids. So I give them the nod.
Ramp gave me a few pairs of socks last year. Those were cool. I'm a big sock guy. I like a good pair of socks. And I thought it was super unique that they had that. Second best, I'm going to do 2 honorable mentions. Second best, the Unaccountable podcast. Y'all's t-shirts were pretty cool. And then third best, Canopy gave us Legos last year. That was cool too.
Yeah. I was a hero to my kid for the Legos. That was the swag gift.
Same.
Yeah.
I was a hero to myself. They're my Legos.
All right, and my final lightning round question, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone new, if they're on the fence about going to one of these conferences, what would you say to them?
Is there anything else to say but go? You won't be sorry. Yeah. I mean, it's...
Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Yeah.
Mine would be go for the people.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yep. Yeah. And usually when in business, when things are scary, it's usually the thing you need to do to get to where you want to go. So if you're scared of going to a conference, that's the thing you probably should do.
On that note, everyone, go to a conference. Go to GrowCon this May in Salt Lake City, Utah. But even if you don't go to that one, go to any conference. You're not going to regret it. You're going to have the best time and you're going to grow from it. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you guys for joining me in this call or this webinar. We'll edit that part out. And those of y'all in the audience, like, subscribe, hit the comments. We appreciate it. Everyone have a great day.